Tonight on Imperator Fish News, we're on the hunt for Chris Carter's successor, and we ask who will stand for Labour in Te Aratu in the next election. We also examine John Key's alarming drink-driving revelations, and we also ask, what would Jesus do?
Good evening, I'm Ted Haddock, and this is Imperator Fish News. Tonight, as speculation continues to grow over the future of errant Labour MP Chris Carter, it's time to ask the question. If Carter is dumped from the Labour Party, who would replace him? If Carter is eventually kicked out of the party, a new candidate will be needed to contest the Te Aratu electorate in next year's general election. A number of names have been floated as potential replacements, such as Lila Hare and Phil Twyford. But let's get real. The ideal candidate will need to be local and have an affinity with local issues, but they also need integrity, compassion, and charisma. This person, or bear, must be determined to make a difference, to get things done, to stand up for the little guy. A bear who isn't afraid to say what he thinks, and who's ready to take the fight to the lousy, incompetent bunch of fools who claim to govern us, and whose idea of leadership is to destroy all that is good and great about this wonderful country, ripping and tearing at the body politic like a pack of wild jackals. In other news, former NP and radio personality Pam Corkery has announced she will open the first ever brothel in this country devoted exclusively to women. She is also in talks about making a reality TV show about the operations of the Man Whore House. We asked Corkery whether she was at all fazed by being involved with a house of ill repute, where people leave their morals and self-respect at the door. Corkery responded that she did not want to talk about her parliamentary career. Prime Minister John Key has told the New Zealand Herald he would fall asleep before being able to drink 9 beers and then drive a car. Key's supporters claim that this revelation paints the PM in a positive light and shows him to be a responsible and sensible drinker. But the news will do nothing to allay the fears of many who believe this government is directionless and lacks any focus. People, this is even worse than I thought. Our PM is not merely asleep at the wheel of our nation, he is too pissed to even get in the car. John Key would not be interviewed on the show, mainly because we didn't actually ask him. I mean, what would be the point? He's probably a bear hater anyway. Although, if I were a panda, I'm sure he'd roll out a red carpet for me. Those bamboo-munching show ponies get all the cushy deals, unlike the media bears out there tirelessly holding our elected officials to account. Well, Mr. Key, you try being a stuffed bear for just one day, and see how you like it. And that foeman side of me is playing havoc with my digestion. You should see the state of my bowels. Oh, they're raw, they are. In world news, a Florida mobile phone store manager succeeded in convincing a would-be robber that Jesus would not approve of his law-breaking. The manager, Naraya Goncalves, convinced the man not to rob her store, and he left empty-handed. Oh. Miss Goncalves denies the would-be robber only spared her store because she told him Jesus wanted to go next door and kick the asses of the Muslim shop owners across the road. We tried to contact Jesus for comment, and yet again he failed to answer our calls. This is not the first time we've asked Jesus to appear on our show. He also failed to front when we ran our story on the Crusades, even though there was a legitimate public interest in the spending of medieval taxpayers' money on overseas travel. We say it's time Jesus fronted up and put his side of the story to the public. Jesus, if you're watching this, we'd like to hear from you. Finally, in Dog Whistle of the Week, right-wing blogger David Farah comments on his site Kiwi blog about Hone Harawira's remarks that he would be disappointed if one of his children dated a Pakeha. Farah ponders what the public reaction would have been if a white person had expressed disappointment at one of his children dating a Māori. Well, here's the thing. The reaction would most likely have been rabid, but possibly less so than the reaction to Harawira's remarks. Last time Harawira shot his mouth off, there was a record number of complaints to the Race Relations Commissioner. People, it shouldn't matter in today's age who you go with, and we should be prepared to embrace diversity. My own tastes are extremely diverse, although I draw the line at panda bears. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, but if you're black and white, well, that's a whole different story. And finally, ponder this. How would you feel if your daughter came home with a prominent right-wing blogger? Well, that's all for this edition of Imperator Fish News. You've all been bloody marvelous. Ka kite, and a very good evening indeed.